I watched my sister's wedding dress catch fire in our parents' backyard. 3 days after she was supposed to get married, the flames twisted and climbed, devouring thousands of dollars of imported lace and silk beading. Mom screamed, Dad stood frozen, but I just stood there watching it burn, knowing that everything that happened all started with a simple signature. Let me take you back to where it all began. My name is Sloane Whitaker. And I've always been the busy one, the responsible one, the one who sacrificed everything for everyone else, while my younger sister Delaney lived her best life posting pretty pictures on Instagram and calling it a career. I'm a senior project manager at a software company in Denver. My days start at 6 in the morning and sometimes don't end until midnight. Meetings, deadlines, crisis management, putting out fires that other people started. That's my life. That's always been my life, Delaney. She worked part-time at a boutique, styled outfits for her followers, and spent most of her days planning her aesthetic. We're only 2 years apart, but we might as well have lived in different worlds, growing up. I was the one who helped Dad with bills when his business struggled. I was the one who took extra shifts to help Mom with her medical expenses. Delaney was the baby, the princess, the one everyone protected from real life. And I never minded, really, I didn't. Because she was my sister and I loved her. But love makes you blind, and trust makes you stupid. It started 6 months before her wedding. Delaney got engaged to Ashton Reed, a financial analyst from a well-off family, the moment that ring touched her finger. She became obsessed, not with Ashton, with the wedding. Sloane, I need the Brown Palace, she told me one evening, bursting into my apartment without knocking. It's the only venue that matters. It's historic, it's elegant. It's perfect. I looked up from my laptop, where I was reviewing a project proposal due the next morning. That place costs a fortune, Del. I know. Her eyes sparkled. Isn't it amazing? Can you afford it? She waved her hand dismissively. Ashton's parents are helping. And Mom and Dad promised their savings, and I'd been putting money aside from my influencer work. I wanted to laugh. Her influencer work maybe brought in $200 a month if she was lucky. But I didn't say anything. I just went back to my laptop. You're coming to the dress fitting on Saturday, right? She asked. I have a meeting. Sloane. She grabbed my laptop and closed it. This is my wedding. My one special day. Can you please, for once, put me first? That stung. Put her first? I'd been putting her first my entire life. Fine, I said. I'll move the meeting. She squealed and hugged me. You're the best sister ever. If only I'd known what was coming. Over the next few months, Delaney came to me constantly. Always rushing, always frantic, always with papers. Sign this. It's just a confirmation for the florist. Sign this. It's for the catering deposit. Sign this. The venue needs a backup contact. Every single time I was in the middle of something. A conference call, a deadline, a crisis at work. And every single time she'd slide the papers across my desk or my kitchen counter and say, You don't need to read it, Sloane. It's nothing serious. I just need a signature. And like an idiot, I signed because she was my sister, because I trusted her. Because I was too busy, too tired, too overwhelmed to slow down and actually read what I was signing. The last time she came, I was on a call with a client in Japan. It was 2 in the morning for them, and they were angry about a delayed feature. Delaney walked right into my home office and put a paper in front of me. I muted the call for 2 seconds. What is this? Just a formality for insurance purposes. Sign at the bottom. I signed, she smiled, took the paper and left. I went back to apologizing to the client in Japan. That was 3 weeks before her wedding. The morning of the wedding arrived cold and bright. October in Denver is beautiful, golden aspens, crisp air. Perfect weather for a fairy tale ceremony. I woke up early in my apartment downtown, did my hair and makeup, and put on the champagne-colored bridesmaid dress Delaney had chosen. It was tight and uncomfortable, but I'd worn worse things for her sake. At 8, my phone buzzed. Mom was calling. Are you on your way, sweetheart? Leaving in 5 minutes. Perfect. Delaney's already at the venue. She's nervous but excited. I smiled, despite everything. Despite the stress and the money and the obsession, I was genuinely happy for my sister. She was getting married, starting a new chapter. Maybe marriage would help her grow up, become more responsible. I grabbed my purse and walked downstairs to the parking lot of my apartment building. My car wasn't there. I froze, staring at the empty space where I always parked my Honda Civic. The car I'd bought 2 years ago with my own hard-earned money. At first I thought maybe I had parked it on another level. Or maybe it had been towed. My heart pounded as I pulled out my phone and called the tow company. Nothing. No record. Something felt wrong. Not random theft wrong, deliberate wrong. So instead of calling the police, I dialed the DMV. Hi. I need to check the status of my vehicle registration. Yes, I'll hold. When the woman came back on the line. Her words cut through me like glass. Ma'am, according to our records, that vehicle was sold and transferred to a new owner on September 15th. My blood ran cold. That's impossible. I didn't sell it. We have signed transfer paperwork on file. The signature matches our records for Sloan Whitaker. My hand shook so badly, I almost dropped the phone. Mom called again just as I hung up. Her voice was cheerful. But I could barely breathe as I whispered into the phone. Someone sold my car, using my signature. And suddenly, it clicked. A memory, sharp and undeniable. Delaney in my office 3 weeks ago. I was on a late-night call in Japan, headset on, half listening. She'd slipped a folder across my desk. Just a formality, she'd said sweetly. For insurance purposes. Sign at the bottom. I hadn't thought twice. I'd scribbled my name while apologizing to the client on the other end of the call. That was my fatal mistake. No, I whispered now. Standing in the apartment parking lot, no. She wouldn't. But even as I said it, I knew she would. Mom was still on the line. Her cheerful voice shifted, worried. Sloan? What is it? What are you thinking? My hands trembled as I pulled up my banking app. I scrolled back to mid-September. Heart pounding so hard I thought I might faint. There it was, a deposit $15,000. 2 days later, a withdrawal. The exact same amount, and it wasn't even subtle. She had run it straight through the old joint account we'd opened years ago for emergencies. When she was just out of college and couldn't keep track of her bills, I'd forgotten it even existed. She hadn't. She'd sold my car, put the money in, pulled it right back out, all of it. Mom, I said hoarsely into the phone. Delaney forged my signature and sold my car. There was silence on the other end. Then Mom's shaky voice. No, that can't be right. She wouldn't. She did. I snapped, shoving the transaction history up on my screen like she could see it through the phone. Look, September 15th. 15,000 in, 15,000 out. She sold it and she took everything. For a long moment. The only sound was my own ragged breathing. Then Dad's voice broke through stern. Furious, he'd clearly taken the phone from Mom. I'm calling her right now. Wait. My voice came out harder, colder than I'd ever heard it. My shock was burning away, leaving only steel. Don't call her. Sloan, we can't let this go. We're not letting it go. I grabbed my clutch. My phone's still glowing with the bank app. We're going to that wedding. And she's going to face every single person whose money she's been throwing around. Starting with Ashton. The line went dead. I didn't care. I was already moving 30 minutes later. I was behind the wheel of Dad's car, heading downtown. The brown palace rose like a castle against the Denver sky, its red brick gleaming in the autumn sun. My parents sat in silence beside me. None of us spoke, none of us could. The only sound was the turn signal ticking as I pulled into the valet line. Tick, tick, tick. Like a clock counting down, not to a wedding. Not anymore, to a reckoning. The hotel was magnificent, all marble and gold. Flower arrangements that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. A string quartet playing softly near the entrance. This was Delaney's dream. Her perfect Instagram-worthy fairy tale wedding built on my stolen car. Guests were already arriving. dressed in their finest. I recognized Ashton's parents, Douglas and Marissa Reed, greeting people near the entrance. They were old money, sophisticated. The kind of people who valued integrity above everything perfect. I walked straight past them and found Delaney in the bridal suite. She was standing in front of a mirror. Wearing her dress, it was stunning, off the shoulder. Layers of silk and lace, a train that went on forever. Her hair was done in soft waves, her makeup flawless. She saw me in the mirror and spun around, beaming. "Sloan, oh my God, you look amazing." "Wait, why do you look upset?" "What's wrong?" I just stared at her. Did something happen? She walked toward me. "Is Mom okay?" "Where's my car, Delaney?" She froze just for a second, but I saw it. "What? Your car?" Don't lie to me." My voice came out sharp, cutting. "Where is my car?" She laughed nervously. "Sloan, this isn't the time for... You sold it September 15th. You forged my signature and you sold my car and you took $15,000. Her face went pale underneath all that makeup. I can explain." "Explain?" I took a step toward her. "You stole from me." "I didn't steal, I borrowed." Tears started forming in her eyes, but I didn't care. "I was going to pay you back. I swear, Ashton's parents backed out of some of the expenses, and Mom and Dad couldn't cover everything, and I needed money for the honeymoon, and so you stole my car. It was just sitting there. You barely used it. You work from home most days." She was crying now. Mascara starting to run. "I'm your sister, Sloan. I needed help. You didn't ask for help. You committed fraud. Please." She grabbed my hands. "Please don't do this today. It's my wedding day. We can talk about this tomorrow, we can figure it out. I'll get you the money back somehow, but please don't ruin this for me." I pulled my hands away. "You ruined it yourself." I turned and walked out of the bridal suite, leaving her crying behind me. The ceremony was supposed to start at 3 o'clock. Guests filled the grand ballroom, sitting in rows of white chairs decorated with roses and eucalyptus. The altar was covered in flowers. Everything was perfect, elegant, expensive. I sat in the front row, between Mom and Dad. Neither of them looked at me. They were both staring straight ahead. Their faces like stone. The music started. Everyone stood and turned toward the entrance. Delaney appeared, walking slowly down the aisle on Dad's arm. She looked like a princess, no, like a queen. Every eye in the room was on her, admiring her dress, her beauty, her grace. She'd stopped crying. Her makeup was fixed. She was smiling, glowing, living her perfect moment. She didn't look at me as she passed. But I was about to make sure everyone else did. They reached the halfway point. The officiant smiled. Ready to begin, Ashton stood at the altar. Looking nervous but happy, I stood up. "Stop!" The word cracked through the high-ceilinged ballroom like a whip. The string quartet faltered, the music cutting off mid-note for a second. All I could hear was the rustle of silk dresses and the clink of glasses as 200 heads swiveled toward me. Delaney froze halfway down the aisle, her smile faltering. "Sloan, don't. Everyone needs to hear this." My voice was steadier than I felt, echoing across the grand marble floors. My heart was slamming against my ribs. But I clung to the anger that had carried me this far. "This wedding is built on a lie." Gasps rippled. Someone in the back whispered, "What's happening?" "Sit down," Mom hissed, her face pale, but I ignored her. I reached into my purse, my hands shaking, and pulled out the thick stack of papers. I'd stopped at a FedEx on the way here, printing every page while my parents sat silently in the car. Now, under the golden chandeliers, I raised the evidence high for all to see. 3 weeks ago," I said, my voice rising, "my sister forged my signature and sold my car without my knowledge or permission. She deposited $15,000 into our old joint account." I lifted the statement. The numbers circled in red ink, and withdrew every penny 2 days later. A murmur spread through the guests. Sharp as static. People leaned forward in their chairs, eyes wide, clutching pearls and programs. And that money, I turned, locking eyes with Ashton. Is the money that paid for your honeymoon? The honeymoon she told you she'd saved for. Ashton's smile collapsed. His face flickered from confusion to disbelief. Then to something far darker, he turned, slow as stone. To Delaney. Is this true? She shook her head frantically. I can explain. Is true? His voice cracked like thunder. Delaney's eyes dropped to the floor. Silence was her answer. Oh my God, Marissa Reed gasped, leaping from her seat. Douglas, they used fraud money, fraud money. Douglas shot to his feet, face red, jaw tight. Ashton, step away from her. Dad, Ashton began. Now. But Ashton didn't move. He didn't even blink. He just stared at Delaney, and in that moment, I watched something shatter in his eyes. Something small and fragile that would never be put back together again. You lied to me, he said, his voice shaking. About the money. What else have you lied about? Nothing. Delaney's mascara was already smudging down her cheeks. It was just this one thing. I was going to tell you, I swear, I was going to pay her back. When? Ashton roared, his voice filling the ballroom. When were you going to tell me? After the vows? After the papers were signed? After it was too late for me to escape. Delaney stumbled forward, reaching for him. Ashton, please. But he stepped back like her touch burned. If this is how you treat your own sister, the person who trusted you her whole life, how can I ever trust you as my wife? The ballroom went dead silent. Even the whispers were gone. You could hear the chandeliers humming, the nervous cough of a groomsman. Then Ashton reached down, slowly, deliberately. He pulled the gold band off his finger for a moment. He held it between his thumb and forefinger, the metal glinting under the lights, and then he let it fall. The ring hit the marble floor with a sharp, metallic clank. The sound echoed, final and cold. I can't marry you, Ashton said, his voice like steel. I won't marry someone I can't trust. Delaney let out a sound that was half sob, half scream. She reached again. But he was already walking away. His parents followed, their faces a mask of fury and shame. Around us, the guests began to scatter, grabbing coats, clutches, and champagne glasses as if escaping a burning building. Conversations buzzed in frantic whispers. Did you hear? She forged papers. She sold her sister's car, and Delaney? She just stood there in her $1,000 gown. Wilted flowers slipping from her hair, makeup streaking down her cheeks. Watching her fairy tale disintegrate in real time. Mom rushed forward, wrapping her arms around her, whispering her name like it would fix anything. Dad turned to me, his face unreadable. Anger, sorrow, pride, disappointment, all tangled together. But I didn't wait to figure out which. I turned, lifted my chin, and walked out of the Brown Palace Hotel alone. The sound of my heels echoing like a gavel striking judgment. Behind me, a wedding had just died. The next 3 days were chaos. Dad called lawyers. Mom cried constantly. Delaney locked herself in her old bedroom and refused to come out. The wedding vendors started calling, demanding payment for services rendered. The hotel, the caterers, the florist, thousands of dollars in bills that nobody had planned for because nobody expected the wedding to be canceled mid-ceremony. I filed a police report for vehicle theft and fraud. The detective assigned to my case was sympathetic but realistic. Even if we prove fraud, which looks likely, getting your money back will be difficult if she's already spent it. I know, I said. But I want it on record. I want the truth documented. On the third day, I went back to my parents' house. I needed to get some things I'd left there, and I needed to talk to Delaney face to face. I found her in the backyard. She dragged her wedding dress outside and put it in Dad's old burn barrel. She was holding a lighter. Don't, I said. She turned to me, her face puffy and red from crying. She looked 10 years older than she had 4 days ago. Why not? She asked. It's worthless now. Just like me. Delaney, you destroyed my life. She flicked the lighter. The flame danced in the afternoon sun. You stood up in front of everyone I care about and you destroyed everything. I told the truth. You humiliated me. She was screaming now. You could have talked to me privately. You could have waited until after the wedding. But no, you had to make a scene. You had to ruin everything. You ruined it yourself when you stole my car. I needed that money. Then you should have asked me. Would you have given it to me? She laughed bitterly. Would you, Sloan? Would you have just handed over $15,000? I opened my mouth, then closed it. The truth was, I didn't know. Maybe I would have, maybe I wouldn't have. But I never got the chance to decide. You took that choice away from me, I said quietly. You forged my signature. You committed fraud. You betrayed my trust. And then you expected me to just, what? Let you get away with it? I expected you to be my sister. Tears were streaming down her face. I expected you to love me enough to forgive me. Love doesn't mean letting people steal from you. She stared at me for a long moment. Then she dropped the lighter into the burn barrel. The dress caught immediately, flames climbing up the silk and lace. We both watched it burn. I hate you, she whispered. I know. I'll never forgive you for this. I know that too. Mom came running out. What are you doing? That dress cost. She saw the flames and stopped. Oh, Delaney. Delaney pushed past both of us and went back inside. Mom turned to me. Her eyes sad and tired. Was it worth it, Sloan? Was what worth it? Destroying your sister's wedding. Was it worth it? I thought about my car, about the forged signature, about all those times Delaney had taken advantage of my trust. My busy schedule. My willingness to help her. Yes, I said, it was. 6 months have passed since that day. Delaney moved to California. She's working at a boutique there. Trying to rebuild her influencer brand. We haven't spoken since the backyard. I doubt we ever will. Ashton reached out to me once. About a month after everything happened, he thanked me for telling the truth. He said he had doubts about Delaney for a while, small things. Little lies, moments where her stories didn't add up. But he'd ignored them because he loved her. You saved me from making a huge mistake, he told me. I'm sorry it cost you your relationship with your sister. I appreciated that, but I didn't need his gratitude. I didn't expose Delaney for him, I did it for me. The police investigation concluded that yes, fraud was committed. But because Delaney and I shared that joint account, the prosecutor said it would be difficult to prove criminal intent beyond reasonable doubt. They recommended I pursue civil court instead. I decided not to. The legal fees would cost more than $15,000. And honestly, I was tired. I bought a new car, a used Toyota. It's not as nice as my Honda was, but it's mine. And nobody can take it away from me. Mom tries to play peacemaker sometimes. She call and say things like, Delaney's your only sister, and family should forgive each other, and don't you miss her? And the truth is, I do miss her. I miss the sister I thought I had, the one I trusted, the one I would have done anything for, but that sister never really existed, did she? The real Delaney was always the person who would steal my car to fund her dream wedding. I just didn't want to see it. Dad's the only one who understands. He pulled me aside a few weeks after everything happened and said, You did the right thing. Trust is everything. And she broke yours. You don't owe her forgiveness just because she's family. That helped more than he knows. I think about that day sometimes. Standing up in that beautiful ballroom, holding those bank statements. Watching my sister's perfect wedding crumble. People would probably say I was cruel, that I was vindictive, that I should have handled it privately. But here's what those people don't understand. Delaney would have gotten away with it. She would have married Ashton. Gone on that honeymoon funded by my stolen car, come back and played the happy bride. And I would have been left with nothing but an empty driveway and the bitter knowledge that my own sister stole from me. She counted on my silence. She counted on my love for her being stronger than my need for justice. She was wrong. And yes, she walked down that aisle alone, or rather, she didn't walk down it at all. She stood there in her beautiful dress while her fiancé walked away. While the guests whispered and left, while her fairy tale turned into a nightmare. But I walked out of that hotel with something she never have again. Self-respect. My sister sold my car to fund her dream wedding. I sold her lies to fund my freedom, and I'd make the same choice again in a heartbeat. Have you ever spent your whole life sacrificing for your siblings? Only to become the villain the moment you stand up for yourself? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear.